Hey everyone, Tyler here. I'm excited to talk to you today about what makes a good budget, some budgeting tools that you can use, different types of budgets, all those kinds of things, whether you want to make a new budget for yourself, improve your budget, or just here to look for some tips and tricks. I hope I can provide that for you today. So let's talk about what makes a good budget. So first I want you to know there's no budget out there that's just the best. There's no budget that's just better than all the other budgets, whether you use Excel, whether you use some sort of app, or you have cash on hand or anything like that. Personally, I use Excel because I really like using Excel and I feel like it lets me have more control over my budget. But I know plenty of people that use like the cash envelope method or an app and things like that. Really, the best budget is whatever budget you're going to use, whatever you're going to commit to. So it can take some time to find a budget that you really like. But again, there's no perfect budget for anyone. There was no Tyler Jackson budget just out there. I had to create one of my own. And that doesn't mean you have to start from scratch. You can get templates or anything like that. Just make it your own somehow. Another good attribute of a budget is it shows where your money goes. And I know that sounds obvious, but if you can see where your money goes, then you can see what you value with your money. For example, I had somebody that I was helping with a budget, and I asked them if there's anything that surprised them about their budget. And they said, actually, yes, I went to the same restaurant twice in a day and didn't realize it until I started keeping track of my money. So they had gone for breakfast in the morning, worked a long 8-hour day. They really liked the restaurant at night. They totally just spaced it, went again, and then they're going through their money, through their accounts, and they went, oh shoot, I went there twice in the same day. So a budget is really just about what you value. For example, again, I helped someone else that they wanted to set a really high budget for, they had just gotten engaged, and they wanted to spend a lot of money on fun and date, just going out on dates. And my wife and I have this, but we don't have, we have what we think is an appropriate amount, and theirs was a lot higher. But it's because they valued that more. I could have something in my budget that you could go, why is that so high? Or why do you even have that as a budget? That's ridiculous. So it's just important that you can see where your money is going, so you can shift it around and say, I don't want to spend that much money eating out twice a day. I'd rather spend it on going on fun dates or seeing movies or anything like that. It's just so you can see where your money is going so that you can decide how you're spending it. So I talked a little bit about types of budgets earlier. So I would say that there's kind of three main types of budgets. That doesn't mean that there's only three types of budgets you can make, but just kind of three categories I put them in. The first one you've got is a manual budget, whether that's because you're manually updating in Excel, maybe you have some sort of spreadsheet, that you do it by hand, but just something that you personally are putting in manually. It doesn't get done unless you do it. The second type I would say is, opposite of an automated budget. Usually these are apps that as soon as you spend money, it'll pop up with something that's asking you to categorize it, or it might auto-categorize it for you. So just things that are automated, again, usually apps. And the third type I say is you have cash on hand. I tie this to the envelope method, meaning that you take the cash out you need. Say you budget $300 for groceries. You take out $300 and you put it in an envelope, and anytime you need to buy groceries, you take it out of the envelope. And as soon as the money that is in the envelope is gone, you don't spend that money anymore. This is really helpful for people that might have a harder time budgeting, because it's easy to hand someone your plastic credit card. It's a lot harder to hand people $50. They've done some studies that show that people who are given, actual physical cash as opposed to just a credit card and told to spend, money, people with credit cards usually overspend, especially because if you think you're close to your budget, maybe you think, I'm going to budget $50 and grocery comes up $52, not a big deal, but so you just hand the credit card and you can spend it. If you only have $50 cash, you got to go put something back. So it's really helpful for that. So let's go over some of the pros and cons of each of them. Again, first the manual one. I would say the pros, again, I use Excel, so I really like it. I feel like I have control over it. Again, one of the biggest cons I would say is you have to do it. If you don't do it, it doesn't get done. As opposed to automated, which will do it for the most part for you, or even the envelope method is that you have to do a little bit of work in the beginning, but then you're taking cash out. You have to go buy things, and so you have to take the cash out of the envelope. So again, you have a little bit more control. Again, with my Excel on my computer, I can change so many different things about it, but I have to go and do it. Sometimes I follow behind, and it's a lot of work for me to catch back up. Next is the automated. Again, a huge pro of the automation is that you could go to the grocery store and you could buy something, and a minute later, you get a ding on your phone, and it'll say, hey, we just saw that you spent $40 at Walmart. Help us categorize this. And you have your receipt, right in front of you. Or if you just have a cart full of groceries, you could say, oh yeah, that's groceries. And it'll categorize it for you. Again, these things can give you updates. It'll give you charts, graphs. So they're really handy. Again, the biggest con I would say is that you don't have much control over it. which is not a bad thing for some people. Some people like the app to do it all for them. Personally, I've tried some, and I just like to be able to add things or take away things that maybe you can't do on an app that is yours. I wouldn't say, again, going back, I don't think there's one app that's necessarily better than all the others. Some ones I would recommend would be Mint and YNAB, which is You Need a Budget. I'm not sponsored or anything, just those are ones that I've either used or know people that have used them and have really just enjoyed using those ones. And third would be the envelope method, where you've, again, taken the cash, put it in the envelope, and you've said $300 for groceries, that's how much is the envelope. As soon as you pull the money out, it's gone, right? You can't use it anymore. So again, pro is that you're less likely to spend cash than you are on a card. It's easier just to swipe and you don't see the money actually disappearing. Again, with cash, it's physically disappearing. It's really good for people who have trouble keeping to a budget or do that kind of thing where they say, well, I wanted to spend 50, but 55 is really close, so it's not a big deal when, those add up. The biggest con is you've got to keep that cash at home. If you've got $300 for groceries, you've got another $100 for some miscellaneous necessities, you've got just all these different things. Before you know, you've got to keep $2,000 of cash at home. My parents actually use the envelope budgeting method. And my brother, when he was younger, got into it once and just thought, oh, cool, cash, right? Just got in their cash box. I'm not sure if the lock broke, if they forgot to lock it, whatever, but he got into it. And I don't know if he ended up spending it, if they ended up getting back, or if they lost it, whatever. But that, you're keeping a lot of money at home. So just, get a lock box, make sure it's sturdy, hide it somewhere. Another con of that is it's not sitting in a bank, which not only is more secure, but if you have some sort of high yield savings, it's not earning any money, right? Because it's just sitting in your lockbox. As well as just some complications with if you want to buy something online, you've got to make sure that that money is taken out of the envelope, put into the bank, and then you can purchase it with a card or something like that. As well as not getting any of the cash back, from credit cards or building your credit or anything like that. But again, a huge pro if that you're not really good with budgeting or you just want to start off with a budget. I know a lot of people that have started with this envelope method and then have moved on from there, but it's a really good start for them. So I'd say kind of wrap things up is that you just want to find a budget that works for you. There was no Tyler Jackson budget until I went out there and made one. And there's going to be lots of budgets that are very similar. I had a budget that was all right, and then I found a template kind of that I modified. So there's going to be people that have budgets that, might use that same template that look very similar to mine. If you have an app, it's going to look very similar to other people who have that same app. But you're going to have different expenses. You're going to have different amounts for those expenses. So even things like groceries where everyone needs to buy groceries, yours could be twice as much. It could be half as much. It's going to be different. It's going to be yours. You're going to create that budget for yourself. Obviously, there's some key things to keep on there. Keep at it. It's going to be hard if you've never done one. It's going to be a pain in the butt. But I would say a budget is a huge way to save money. There are expenses that people don't even realize about. I've worked with people who just have automatic accounts, whether they're old accounts or whether they know they're happening, and then they go see it on paper every month and go, I don't want to get charged $20 for this every month, but I never even used this service. And it ends up saving them just $20 right there. Yeah, I know it sounds easy, but if you don't have a budget or if you don't really use a budget, you will be surprised by how much it kind of changes your outlook and kind of gives you a step ahead. That's really what it's for, is giving you a step ahead and being able to take control of your own finances. When you're making a budget, again, there's tons of information out there. Just make sure that you're tracking your expenses and that you're not overspending or in some cases underspending. For example, if you have a bill that needs to get paid every month and you've been forgetting to pay it, make sure you put down, okay, $70 is how much this is. Make sure I pay it on time. So when you look at your budget, it's got all your expenses listed there, including that $70. And that'll remind you every single time you look at the budget, hey, I need to make sure and pay that. So again, just to wrap up, everybody, just stick to it. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I know this wasn't a step-by-step or anything. I just tried to provide some general information because, again, there's no perfect budget out there. There's some very simple rules to follow and make it yours. Again, whether that's an app, Excel, some sort of paper, or the envelope budget method. Again, I listed some pros and cons. You can almost throw the cons out the window. If it works for you and that's something you feel comfortable with and it's helping you keep track of your money, then it works. That's awesome. That's all that it is. I know it sounds like a cliche, but if you guys enjoyed the video and felt like you learned something, it really helps me to hit the like and subscribe button. It's really little effort on your part, but it really helps me out. I really appreciate all the time that you guys have given me, and I hope I can help you out any way I can. Thanks.